This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Now at 5 o'clock, race weekend is here in central Indiana. It is Carb Day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and we have everything you need to know before heading out to the track today or this weekend.
News Team 6 helps get the job done.
Yes, and we are working for you, getting results for a woman trying to get her money back. The reason she reached out to us and the results she's now seeing. Thanks for starting your Friday morning with us here on Good Morning Indiana. I'm Nicole Griffin.
And I'm Meredith Barrick, meteorologist Todd Clausen. And Todd, I think other than the IndyCar drivers, you might be the most popular guy in town right about now because you hold the key to what our forecast looks like for race weekend.
Well, I don't think too many people will complain today and tomorrow.
Okay.
Sunday.
That's another story.
Might not be the most favorite.
You might have to go into witness protection program.
Exactly. Put the hood on up at the track. All right, outside right now we are dealing with a few isolated storms that are starting to make their way into central Indiana. When I talk about storms today, do not cancel any plans because they are just going to be very, very isolated. And you can see them down to the south right now. Near Bedford, there's just a few isolated downpours. And this is part of a warm front that's going to be lifting through. A few spot showers here over towards Terre Haute as well. And overall, today is just going to be a partly cloudy day. And the main weather headline, that is going to be the heat and humidity. So this warm front's going to lift to the north. So these showers will lift to the north as the morning goes on. Then the front is to northern Indiana by this afternoon. And that is just going to usher in all the heat and humidity for later on today. And you can see already near 70 in Bloomington compared to 57 to the north up in Peru. So if you're heading to Carb Day, bring the sunscreen, stay hydrated. It's a little cooler this morning, but then the heat really builds in as the afternoon goes on, eventually up to 86 degrees. Factor in that humidity, Elaine, it's going to feel like it's in the low to mid 90s.
I'm going to want to stay hydrated. Thank you, Todd, when you're coming out on the roadways this morning from that southwest side on I-70 from Ronald Reagan Parkway up to I-65 should only take you about 12 minutes. So everything's moving along just fine for your morning drive. But let's take a look at an area that might have some overnight road work. This is I-465 at West 71st Street. Those flashing lights, some INDOT crews. I'm warning you, just, slow down if they're in the area. But this should wrap up by the end of rush hour, hopefully before rush hour. But I believe this left lane is supposed to be closed for another day.
Elena, thank you. It is time to kick off the Indy 500 weekend, and that starts with a fan favorite, Carb Day.
Our Aaron Lish is live at the track before gates open with what you need to know as you are coming out for the fun-filled day. Aaron, good morning.
Good morning. So as Todd mentioned, it's going to be a hot one. So as you enjoy your adult beverages, make sure that you are filling up your water bottles. I will be doing so in the next few minutes. And that is what medics are really stressing is the heat out here. So make sure that you are staying hydrated, that you're wearing that light clothing and finding shade as much as you can as needed. Gates are opening here in just a few hours at 8 a.m. And now along with the big concert with Foreigner and Kool and the Gang this afternoon, there's an Indy Lights autograph session. They have the final practice for the 500. They also have the Freedom 500 race going on. And of course, this is a really fun one, the Pit Stop Challenge, where the crews will go head to head. So there's a lot of things happening here at Carb Day. There are $30 tickets still available, and you can get all of this. You can see all of this for just that $30 ticket. Coming up in the next half hour, we're going to have a little bit more from Carb Day and what IU Health is offering here at the track today. I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Aaron, thank you. As the drivers get ready for their last tune-up before the Indy 500 today, we are taking a closer look at the 33 drivers that are trying to cross the Yard of Bricks first. This year's field features a number of drivers who have already captured Indy 500 and taken the traditional drink of milk. 7 drivers in the field are past winners, led by Elio Castroneves, who has won the race 3 times already. The winner from 5 of the last 6 years are also in the race, including last year's champion, Will Power. And this year's race certainly has an international feel. Drivers from all over the world are taking part in the race. Of the 33 drivers in the race, 16 drivers are from countries other than the United States. Brazil has the second most drivers with 3. This is the first year that 2 Swedish drivers will be taking the green flag at the Indy 500. And if you're looking for a trend, 3 of the last 4 winners of the Indy 500 have come from a country outside of the United States.
Oh, that's very cool. And of course, course, we are getting ready for race day on Sunday. We have it all covered for you with breakfast at the Brickyard beginning at 5 a.m. We have 6 hours of live coverage for you all morning long. That is followed by our special, the Crucible of Speed, at 11 o'clock. Then after the race, we have our post-race live coverage at 6 o'clock.
News Team 6 helps get the job done.
Working for you, hundreds of dollars will be returned to a local woman after she says an apartment complex would not give her security deposit back. Deetra Northington asked RTV6 for help after trying to move into an apartment owned by the company Indy Town Apartments. She says she asked to push her move-in date back by 2 weeks, but the company said no and kept her security deposit even though she never signed a lease.
Did they ever say that they would return the deposit?
Yes, when I talked to Tom, that's when he told me that it would be 21 to 30 business days.
But it's been over a month and a half, and Deetra still does not have her money back. At first, Indy Town told RTV6 they would never keep a prospective tenant's security deposit, but after checking, it appears they did. They are now going to refund the money, and we will continue to follow up until they actually do refund that money. And if you have a problem and need help getting results, reach out to us here at RTV6 at workingforyou@rtv6.com.
A now former teacher at Warren Central High School is accused of having a sexual relationship with a student. According to investigators, Brittany Mang was a Spanish teacher and junior varsity softball coach when she allegedly had sexual contact with a 15-year-old student. The district says Mang resigned earlier this month. She's charged with sexual misconduct with a minor and child solicitation.
We're still working to learn the names of 2 people killed in a small plane crash in Hancock County. This morning, though, we have learned where that plane was heading when it went down. Our ABC affiliate in Reno reports that the aircraft was expected at the Minden-Tahoe Airport. The plane went down Wednesday in Greenfield. The cause of the crash is still under investigation.
This morning, 600 animals are now safe. They were rescued from an animal fighting ring and are now heading to temporary animal shelters. On Thursday morning, investigators seized 10 dogs and more than 550 birds from properties in Morgan and Owen counties. Officials say they found evidence related to dog fighting and cockfighting. The Indiana Gaming Commission says a tip from a concerned citizen led to the investigation.
And this morning, the preparations continue for the IPL 500 Festival Parade downtown. All of the parade floats are now in position for tomorrow's big day. Organizers say there are a record number of floats this year. More than 300,000 people will line the streets of downtown Indianapolis to enjoy the sights and sounds of the parade. It all starts at 11:45 tomorrow morning on Pennsylvania Street. But first, we want to get over to Todd for a check of today's forecast.
Yeah, the heat and humidity is going to start to build in here throughout the day today, and then certainly going to be with us throughout the day tomorrow for the parade, and then also for the concert at IMS as we head into tomorrow afternoon. But here's what's happening this morning. You have to look really, really close in Storm Team 6 radar this morning to find a few spotty downpours just south of Bloomington over towards Bedford, then in Bloomfield, and as you work your way over towards Terre Haute. And this is the warm front that's lifting to the north. And these spotty downpours, as we go throughout the course of the morning, are going to continue to lift to the north. So eventually in Indy and then eventually northern portions of central Indiana, we'll have the chance of seeing a few of these downpours make their way through as this warmer and more humid air mass starts to come in. Now, if you do see one of these downpours, it's going to be brief. It's not going to last very long, and then the sun will go up, is going to pop right back out. So do not cancel your plans. This big cluster of storms, that is going to stay well to our north, so we don't have to worry about that throughout the day today. So really the main focus today is not on the storms, it's on the heat and the humidity that will be building throughout the day today. Highs will be near 90 degrees in southern locations from Bloomington over towards Columbus, just slightly cooler as you work your way to the north. 84 eventually the high temperature up in Kokomo. You factor in the humidity though, and today all these temperatures are going to feel like they're in the low to mid 90s.
All right, Todd, thank you. Severe weather has already claimed the lives of 8 people this week across the country. The cleanup efforts underway this morning in Missouri after powerful storms slammed the state.
And by now, you've likely seen this video of a dog jumping from a speeding RV during a chase. Coming up after the break, we have good news about that dog's recovery. It's coming up.
Weekdays at 9 on RTV6.
The Senate has passed a $19.1 billion disaster aid package. The bipartisan deal will provide relief to those around the country that have been affected by tornadoes, floods, and wildfires. It also includes money for hurricane-damaged Puerto Rico. The measure is expected to pass the House today, and President Trump has signaled he'll support it too. That's despite the fact that billions he wanted to help deal with the migrant surge at the border was dropped. The president also announced Thursday a $16 billion aid package to help farmers hurt by the trade war with China.
The president and first lady will head to Japan around noon today. The couple made the unannounced visit to Arlington National Cemetery Thursday, since they will be gone for Memorial Day. On Saturday, Trump will be the first foreign guest of the country's new emperor. The president will also be meeting with Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. A round of golf has been scheduled ahead of Monday's summit, which is expected to focus on trade and North Korea.
Earlier this week, you likely saw video of this wild chase in California. A woman behind the wheel of a stolen RV led officers on a pursuit. 2 terrified dogs were inside that stolen RV, and at one point, one of them crawled out through a broken windshield. Here's the good news. Both of those dogs survived the wild chase and are recovering this morning. They are in the care of animal control and are expected to make a full recovery. Police are trying to figure out who actually owns the dogs.
Oh, poor babies. Well, today, the man who sparked a nationwide manhunt when he kidnapped a Wisconsin girl will learn his sentence. Jake Patterson killed the parents of Jamie Kloss and then kidnapped her. Kloss was held captive for nearly 3 months before she was finally able to break free and get help. Patterson pleaded guilty to the crimes back in March. He is expected to be sentenced to life in prison. Jamie was honored for her heroism by lawmakers at the Wisconsin State Capitol last week.
At least 8 people have been killed because of severe weather this week. 3 of those happened Wednesday night when a tornado struck Golden City, Missouri. Kenneth and Opal Harris, a couple in their 80s, were found dead about 200 yards from their home. Residents in the capital of Jefferson City are also cleaning up this morning. A violent tornado with 160-mile-per-hour winds ripped off roofs, snapped light poles, and tossed cars. Now flooding is a concern. Jefferson City sits on the Missouri River, which is expected to crest today. Todd, it has been a tough weather week.
Yeah, you know, it's been very active off to our west. We've had quite a bit of rainfall, and unfortunately, it's going to continue as we head into race weekend. It's not a washout, but there are storm chances each and every day, beginning with today, Carb Day, and I'll show you them on radar in just a second, but it's only about a 20% chance of an isolated storm throughout the day today. It's warm with temperatures climbing all the way up into the mid-80s. Tomorrow, Legends Day, is the warmest day of the week and still the chance of just an isolated storm, but I would think today and tomorrow the main weather headline is going to be the heat and humidity, and then unfortunately race day, potentially the wettest day of the 3 as we deal with numerous showers and storms making their way through the area. So as we work our way throughout the course of today, we'll watch for these isolated downpours that are down to our south start to lift to the north. So this is the warm front that's going to be going to the north throughout the day today. So essentially what we'll do is we'll take these showers and move them to the north a little bit each and every hour, and by the time we get to, say, the noon hour, they're going to be across northern Indiana, and at that point we're going to be done with the rain threat, I think, for the day today. This big cluster of rain is going to bypass us to the north, so you don't have to worry about that, but then you see another front off to the west where they have another go around, unfortunately, of severe weather through parts of Missouri and into Kansas and Oklahoma throughout the day today. So there's just a lot going on with numerous fronts working their way through the area, and this front that's the warm front going to the north today, that's the one that's going to sag back down to the south as we head into race day. And the key will be where that front is during the day on Sunday. Hopefully it stays to the north, we get the race in, but that front is expected to sag down to the south as the day goes on. So at this point, I'm expecting rain chances to increase as we go throughout the day on Sunday. Now, big temperature spread this morning, and it's all because of that warm front. 57 in Peru, cooler there, 70 as you work your way down into Bloomington as well as Bedford, 65 in Indianapolis. But again, the warmer air will be working its way in. So for your Carb Day plans, don't let the chance of a storm this morning deter you from heading to the track. Overall, it's a partly cloudy day, very similar to the past 2 days where we've had a lot of sunshine in the afternoon hours. 86 degrees by the time we get to 6 p.m. You factor in that humidity, and it's going to feel like it is going to be in the low 90s this evening. It's a warm one. Temperatures fall from the 80s into the 70s. No no issues with rain whatsoever as we head into the evening hours. And then for the day tomorrow, your Legends Day forecast, the parade is just fine in the morning, warm and muggy, with temperatures already at 72 degrees at 8 a.m. And then we'll build in the chance of a spotty storm heading into the afternoon and evening hours. And here it is on TrueCast, 12 o'clock noon, the hazy sunshine as we head into the 4 and 5 o'clock hour. A few of these spotty storms will make their way through the area. There's a small chance one or two could be on the stronger side, but we're not expecting any widespread severe weather throughout the day tomorrow. Again, scattered storms off and on Sunday. Little lower chance of showers now on Memorial Day at 83 degrees. And then temperatures remain in the 80s as we go into the day on Tuesday. Elena.
All right, thank you, Todd. Here's a look at I-465 at West 71st Street. Some overnight road work underway right now, but the good news is you can see all is moving along just fine. I'll keep an eye on this area for you as we head into rush hour. I believe this road work is supposed to continue through the day. So let's take a look at the map. Something you're going to want to pay attention to this weekend with all of the race festivities underway. You're going to pay attention to these closures. Georgetown Road's going to be closed south of 25th Street, and 16th Street is going to be closed between Olin Avenue and that 16th Street roundabout. So plan ahead, especially if you are making your way to the track. Also check out my social media accounts. I'll tweet out any parking regulations that you're going to need to pay attention to, different zones that you're going to need to go to if you're coming in from the north side and whatnot. Let's take one last look at those roads. Here's I-70 at Rural Street, Keystone Avenue over on the east side. You can see the roads are dry. Nice view of the city right there. If you're heading out the door, it should be an easy drive.
Elena, thank you. RTV6 is celebrating 70 years on the air this month. We signed on May 30th, 1949.
And there is one reporter here who has been there more than half of that time. Derek Thomas joined WRTV in April of 1979, 40 years ago. He quickly became one of Channel 6's most recognizable faces and voices.
Over the years, his distinctive way of signing off at the end of his stories became legendary.
When I first came here, we were the news. And we all said at the end of our report, Derek Thomas for the news, Channel 6.
Derek Thomas for the news, Channel 6. Derek Thomas for the news, Channel 6. Derek Thomas for the news, Channel 6.
I haven't said that in over 25 years. Rarely does a day go by that somebody doesn't say to me, for the news, Derek Thomas. I could have a ball cap on, I could be in my running clothes, my collar up. They recognize me and say, for the news. And, it just, and they, when I first stopped doing it, everyone would stop me and say, why'd you stop doing that? Why did you stop doing that? And I said, we have changed our out cues. We don't say that anymore. They shouldn't have done that. I said, hey, I have to follow the rules. So that's what happened. That's how that happened.
Derek Thomas for the news, Channel 6.
Derek calculates he's done about 12,000 stories in his 40 years here.
The very first one in 1979, a piece on an entire train station being moved in Franklin. Coming up tonight on the news at 6, a throwback to the Friday before the race from about 30 years ago, and let's just say the moon was shining brightly in broad daylight for reporter Gary Dick.
Oh goodness, that will be a must-see. And this all leads up to next Thursday, May 30th, when former anchors Clyde Lee and Dion Willis lead us in a 1-hour special at 7 p.m. 70 years together, RTV6 working for you. We hope you'll be able to join us that night. We'll be right back after this break.
CubCadetDealers.com.
Breaking news this morning, British Prime Minister Theresa May is stepping down. Moments ago, May announced that she would resign as leader of Britain's Conservative Party by June 7th. That's when the party will pick a new leader to be the next prime minister. May has long been criticized over her handling of Brexit. That's Britain's planned departure from the European Union. Her resignation comes after Parliament voted down May's Brexit plan 3 times this year.
This morning, the Toronto Raptors are just one game away from making the NBA Finals for the first time in franchise history. Toronto pulled out an impressive road win against the Milwaukee Bucks in a thrilling Game 5. Raptor star Kawhi Leonard dominated the fourth quarter, finishing with 35 points, 9 assists, and 7 rebounds. That helped the Raptors top the Bucks 105-99. They now lead the series 3-2 as it head back to Toronto for Game 6 on Saturday night.
And the Bucks may not have won, but at least they had this moment. Green Bay Packers lineman David Bakhtiari got into a beer chugging competition with his quarterback Aaron Rodgers. As you can see, David has no problem chugging down 2 beers, then sending it over to Rodgers. Aaron, though, had a bit of a tougher time, not even finishing his beer. Come on, buddy. David decided to celebrate his victory by chugging another beer. He will now have some bragging rights in the Packers locker room. Man, Aaron Rodgers was getting a lot of flack on social media last night for that. Oh, my goodness. People were like, come on, dude, you can't even finish an entire beer.
He probably didn't want to.
And
he
you
didn't look
are
like
the
he tried very hard.
You are the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers? Come on. So, yeah.
Todd, we know you can finish.
Yeah.
All right.
I haven't met a beer I haven't liked.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know if I could chug it, but there'll be a lot of chugging going on that carb day today.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of beer bongs going on, too, I'm sure. But make sure you drink some water mixed in there as well. 55 in Logansport, 70 in Bloomington. You know, it's a few spotty storms down there at Bloomington. Those will lift to the north. It's just a stray storm chance here throughout the day today. Afternoon sunshine, warm and muggy with a high temperature of 86. The time now is 5:27. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Only on RTV6 News.
This is breaking news from RTV6, working for you.
Now at 5:30, British Prime Minister Theresa May is stepping down. Moments ago, May announcing she would resign as leader of Britain's Conservative Party by June 7th.
That's when the party will pick a new leader to be the next prime minister. May has long been criticized over her handling of Brexit. That's Britain's planned departure from the European Union. Her resignation comes after Parliament voted down May's Brexit plan 3 times this year. We'll have more on this developing story as it comes in this morning. Thanks for joining us here on this Friday morning. I'm Nicole Griffin. The other big story this morning is the weather. We are starting this carb day off much quieter than we were 24 hours ago.
Yeah, and folks will be looking at the temperatures as they head to the track. Nicole, Todd, that is because it's supposed to be a hot one out there today.
Yeah, the main weather story today is going to be the heat and humidity. For some of you, it's not that warm this morning. Some of you are in the 50s, which I'll show you in just a second. But the warm front is down to the south, and along this warm front, there's just a few isolated downpours here and there, and then you notice there's a few more as you work your way over towards the Brazil and Terre Haute area. So the warm front will be working its way to the north during the day today, and as it does, it'll take the rain chances that are right now down to the south and bring them to the north here throughout the morning hours. So this morning, don't be shocked if you see a quick moving downpour, and it'll go through really, really quick. That is the good news. And also, I mentioned the temperatures. Don't become complacent and think it's not going to be all that warm this afternoon, because you're in the 50s to the north right now. Look to the south. Bloomington, Bedford at 70 degrees. So as that warm front goes to the north, so does the shower chances, but it brings the warmer air with it. And look where we end up later on this afternoon. We'll be dealing with partly sunny skies, very similar to yesterday. We'll get up to about 85, 86 degrees as we head into the 5 and 6 o'clock hour. Factor in that humidity, and it's going to feel more like it is in the low to mid 90s across the area. Elena?
Hydration is key if you're heading out to carb day. Thank you, Todd. Here's a look at I-465 at West 71st Street. Some overnight road work underway. This will actually continue throughout the day today, so you can see traffic is moving through, but everything's moving along just fine. Let's take a look at the map coming in from this northeast side, heading southbound on I-69, which is one of those areas that does get pretty backed up as we get into rush hour. Everything's moving along just fine right now, so that's good to go if you're heading out the door, as rings true pretty much no matter where you're headed right now out on the roadways. Let's take one last look at those roads. Here's I-70 70 at Rural Street, Keystone Avenue, and you can see the roads are dry for your drive. If you're headed out to IMS, I'll have some updates on you on parking and road closures that might be underway this weekend for all of your race day festivities.
Elena, thank you. Fans are laying out their race day attire and, of course, packing up their coolers to prepare for the Indy 500 weekend.
And what better way to begin celebrating than with Carb Day? And that is where we find our Aaron Lish live before all the festivities and fun begins today. Aaron, good morning.
Good morning. So I covered Carb Day last year, and I can tell a lot of people like a nice cold beer, at least one or two. So a thing that you have to do here, it is already warming up. Make sure that you are alternating with plenty of water. Also, although it might be overcast out, bring your sunscreen because there is a chance that you can still get sunburnt. And now gates open here at 8 a.m. So just in a few hours from now, tickets are $30 for the entire day. So that gets you into seeing and Kool and the Gang this afternoon. Also, the final practice for the 500, which starts just after 11 a.m. and the famous pit stop challenge where pit crews will go head to head, seeing who can change the tires and get their cars ready to go the fastest. Another thing that's being offered with the measles outbreak across the country, vaccines are available to anyone at the IU Health Infield Care Center. Now, if someone gets overheated, dehydrated, or if somebody does get hurt, they do have that center there along with 15 other first aid stations. We will have a little bit more coming up in the next half hour, and it has to do with an app that you might want to download before you come out here to the track. I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Aaron, thank you. That, of course, is all leading up to race day on Sunday. We have everything for you covered before the gates open with breakfast at the Brickyard at 5 a.m. Our 6 hours of live coverage is followed by our special, The Crucible of Speed, at 11. Then join us after the race for post-race coverage on a special edition of the news at 6.
Developing this morning, the search will continue for a 4-year-old boy swept away by Deer Creek in Delphi. Police say a group of kids playing in Riley Park called 911 around 6 last night after seeing the boy disappear in Deer Creek. He was last seen wearing a blue sleeveless shirt and blue shorts. Investigators say currents are strong right now and everyone should be cautious playing in or near the water.
Only on RTV6, video of a Jay County Sheriff's deputy driving dangerously fast and pulling over the man who says he wanted to hold law enforcement accountable. That deputy, Derek Bogenschutz, is facing consequences for what he was caught doing on video in Frankfort, Indiana, nearly 90 miles from Jay County. You can see the sheriff's vehicle race past the driver with the dash cam and later change lanes without signaling. Anthony Cunningham, who captured the video, tells RTV6 he thought the deputy shouldn't be above the law and needed to be held accountable.
We're doing 50 and a 30, 60 and a 40. You know, at one point in time, we get up to 90 and a 55. Like, that's just insane.
Chief Deputy Patrick Wells with the Jay County Sheriff's Office says Deputy Bogenschutz was in the area for training. The chief says the deputy was reprimanded and given 5 days unpaid leave and a 30-day suspension of his take-home car privileges. Chief Wells says the behavior depicted in the video is not the type of behavior that is tolerated by the Jay County Sheriff's Office.
This morning, there are questions about whether or not the Red Line will be ready for passengers when the buses hit the streets this summer. It comes after another problem related to the project. Brand new electric buses will be used on the Rapid Transit line, which runs a little more than 13 miles. Back in March, Call 6 Investigates learned the new buses were not staying charged long enough. Now, Indigo officials say the bus manufacturer will pay to install wireless charging stations along the routes. Red Line construction is scheduled to wrap up by August at the latest.
We're passing along a warning if you visited Mark Pie's China Gate and Sushi restaurant in Columbus. Health officials say an employee working at the restaurant has been diagnosed with a case of hepatitis A. The infected employee was working at the 25th Street location from May 15th until May 20th. If you ate at the location in that time, health officials say you should get a vaccine. Hep A is a viral infection of the liver. It's usually spread through unknowingly ingesting items from an infected person.
Doctors say you need to pay close attention to children for hepatitis A exposure as summer vacation begins. Depending on their age, kids might not show the same symptoms like adults. It's something you need to especially keep in mind as children join camps and play with other kids. Symptoms for hepatitis A can sometimes be confused as regular flu-like symptoms. If you're not sure, go see a doctor. Dr. Jeffrey Collins says the best prevention is a vaccine, even if you are not sure if your kids have received it before. He says if they do get Hep A, it will take time, rest, and fluids to recuperate.
Basically, your body will develop immunoglobulins or antibodies to the virus, and so you'll no longer be at risk of catching hepatitis A again.
Dr. Collins says one thing to remember about the virus is that it lives on surfaces at room temperature for months, so using germicidal wipes is recommended. It is 5:38. Todd, we have a hot day ahead.
Yeah, the warm front is working its way through central Indiana this morning. Where that warm front is right now, we have a few isolated showers and downpours that are taking place. And as this front goes to the north, it'll take these showers and lift them to the north as well. So if you do see a shower this morning, it's just going to be very brief. We're not even picking up any lightning, so that is good news. And you notice a little bit of cloud cover with this band of rain. So this morning, we'll start off with some storm chances in the forecast, but do not let that deter you from heading out to Carb Day. It's going to be hot and humid. The spotty storms probably linger through about 10 a.m. And then we just get into the partly cloudy skies. Temperatures should be right around 80 degrees by the noon hour. And then as we transition into the afternoon hours for you, we'll see the temperature go all the way up to 86 degrees by the time we get to 5 p.m. You factor in the humidity, which is coming up throughout the day as well. And it's going to feel like it is in the low 90s. So overall, with the exception of a storm chance here this morning, it's a dry day. The bigger headline, these temperatures, especially if you're going to be outside at the track.
Todd, thank you. Floodwaters continue to rise in Oklahoma this morning. Why officials are asking people to be extra vigilant. Elena.
And here's a look at I-465 at Michigan Road up on the north side. You can see everything's moving along just fine for your morning drive. Great news, those roads are dry. Time now 5:39. You're watching RTV6. Stay with us.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. Time now is 5:43. Here's a look at I-465 and I-865 up on the dog leg. You can see everything's moving along just fine. Stay tuned. I'll point out some road closures you're going to need to pay attention to for race day weekend.
Elena, thank you. SpaceX makes an out-of-this-world move as part of its Constellation mission called Starlink. The company sent a rocket with 60 satellites skyward Thursday. That is a large leap toward its goal of inexpensive broadband across Earth. Most of the satellites successfully deploy. If they do and make contact with ground stations, this would be the biggest step any company has made in this field. Now, getting everything in order is expected to cost roughly $10 billion. The president and first lady will head to Japan around noon today. Tomorrow, the president will be the first foreign guest of the country's new emperor. The president will also be meeting with Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. A round of golf has been scheduled ahead of Monday's summit, which is expected to focus on trade and North Korea.
$44 million. That's how much a tentative deal to settle sexual misconduct lawsuits brought against the film company co-founded by Harvey Weinstein is said to be worth. About $30 million would go to Weinstein's alleged victims and creditors of the former studio. The rest would be used to pay the legal fees. The proposed agreement doesn't affect the criminal case against Weinstein in New York City. The disgraced movie mogul is largely seen as ground zero for the Me Too movement.
Days of rain are causing problems across Oklahoma, and it doesn't look like Mother Nature is backing off anytime soon. Keystone Lake near Tulsa is already 30 feet above normal. The Army Corps of Engineers decided to open the floodgates to release more water. The dam is currently spilling nearly 2 million gallons of water per second. Residents downstream are concerned about flooding. Officials say they are keeping an eye on things.
You should take some precautions to save your life. If the water's coming up, you need to be ready to go at a moment's notice. Now's the time to be ready to walk out that door, get in your car, and leave.
The dam hasn't released this much water since 1986. Here at home, we will have a bit of a wet day today, Todd, but it will be short.
Yeah, you know, it's just a spotty shower or storm here throughout the course of the day today. Nothing widespread, nothing that's going to cancel on your plans. In fact, when you look at radar, with the exception of those storms you see in Illinois, here in Indiana, you have to look really, really close to find any of these showers, and I'll zoom in for you, and you can see there's one little isolated downpour here just to the southwest of Bloomington, another little downpour just south of Seymour, and that's really just about it. And it's just these scattered showers that are lifting off towards the north, part of this warm front that is working its way through the area. So first, the warm front's coming through during the day today, and that warm front's eventually going to get up to right around Chicago to the Detroit area and just kind of stay there as we go throughout today and throughout the day tomorrow. Then the problem is that warm front's going to settle back southward as we head into the day on Sunday, and it's along the front that you have the chance of these showers, and that's what will be key to the forecast as we head into the day on Sunday. First things first, though, as we go throughout the day today, if you're planning on going out to the track and you see a sprinkle here this morning, do not be alarmed. It goes through pretty quickly. It's not going to last very long, and it's just going to be very, very light. And by the time we get to the noon hour and beyond, that front is far enough to the north, we take out the shower chances for most of us in this forecast. If you live in northern locations, again, that shower threat remains a little bit longer than others. But overall, it's going to be a very nice afternoon and into the evening hours. So do not let the mention of rain in the forecast, at least for the day today, deter you from any plans that you may have here across central Indiana. Now, notice the temperature spread where that warm front is currently present. We are in the 70s in Bloomington as well as Bedford. As you work your way to the north, it's cooler, 57 in Peru, 58 in Tipton. Well, as that warm front goes to the north, obviously the warmer air is going to work its way northward as well. And as you look at the temperatures here for your highs today, we're going all the way up to near 90 degrees in Bloomington as well as the Columbus area, about 86 the high temperature in Indy, then slightly cooler to the north, but still well above normal. You factor in the humidity, these temperatures are going to feel even a little bit warmer. So as we go into the weekend, unfortunately, race day is potentially going to be the wetter day of the two. So Legends Day tomorrow, we're looking at a temperature of 87 degrees. It's warm, it's muggy, the parade's just fine. The storm chance tomorrow comes in during the afternoon. Just because we're in the warm and muggy air mass, will flare up one of these tropical like downpours here or there, but I don't really think you need to alter your plans on Legends Day. And then race day, a little better chance of rain as that front again sags to the south. So here's TrueCast for Saturday. I'll show you most of the day is dry. Here come those isolated storms in the afternoon and evening. If you're heading to the concert at the track, you may need to stay weather aware as these storms make their way through, but they'll pass through very, very quickly. That's the good news. Nothing's going to be prolonged with the rain chances tomorrow. And then we get into Sunday, and as we go throughout the day, as that front sags to the south, unfortunately, the shower chances will build. So I do think Sunday probably starts off dry, but then those shower chances will ramp up as the day goes on, unfortunately. Hopefully, maybe that front will just stall to the north. We don't have to worry about it. Monday, Memorial Day, there's a chance of a stray shower, but otherwise partly cloudy and a high of 83. Elena?
All right, thank you, Todd. When you're heading out on the roadways, right now not too much is happening. I do want to point out for tomorrow's parade. So Pennsylvania Street and Meridian Street are going to be closed downtown. Now the parade begins around 11:45 and those closures begin in the morning. So if you're a downtown driver, especially tomorrow, you're going to want to pay attention to that. Right now everything is moving along just fine. Might be a bit of a slowdown heading on eastbound I-70 heading down through that south split, but it's nothing major, not going to cause you too much of a problem right now. Let's take one look at those roads. Here's I-65 and I-465 down on the south side. You can see everything's moving along just fine for your morning drive as you're making your way out the door. It should be a breeze.
Elena, thank you. It's a somber tradition in the form of hundreds of thousands of flags to honor America's fallen heroes.
Memorial Day means so much to us because these are our brothers and sisters. This is our legacy. These are the people that came before us, and we are so proud to be a part of that.
Annual flags and ceremony just outside Washington, D.C. marks the beginning of Memorial Day weekend. American flags are now on more than 228,000 gravesites at both Arlington National Cemetery and the Airmen's Home National Cemetery. The flags were placed by the 3rd U.S. Infantry Regiment. The tradition started more than 60 years ago in 1948 by the regiment, also called the Old Guard.
Newborn photos are very popular these days. Ahead in our Trending 6, how one couple surprised their family with a new grand baby. That's coming up. Elena.
And here's a look at I-465 at Binford Boulevard on the northeast side. One of those areas that gets pretty heavy with traffic, but you can see right now all is moving along fine. Time now 5:50. You're watching RTV6. Stay with us.
Friday to Monday only at Ashley Home Store.
Before you head out the door, it's time for the Trending 6.
These are some of the stories that everyone is sharing online and you'll want to know about.
First up, IndyCar driver Robert Wickens showing a new milestone in his long road to recovery. Nearly 9 months after a crash on the track nearly killed him, Wickens is boarding a plane by himself. Wickens says 2 months ago he boarded that very same plane and needed assistance from his fiancee, Carly Woods.
Great to see there. Well, photos of a Utah couple posing with their new arrival are not what you think. The car enthusiast couple is going viral for photos with their new supercharger baby named Eaton. Braden Tomisic said the idea was in response to constant pressure from his mother for a grandbaby. He says his mom has a great sense of humor and loved the photo shoot. I feel your pain.
3 businesses in Washington state teaming up to pay off school lunch debt. The businesses in Kennewick, Washington paid more than $1,200 of debt from a local elementary school. Joel Watson, the owner of Just Joel's, says he wanted to do something good for his community on National End Child Poverty Day. When the other businesses heard about his plan, they jumped in too. All right, indie businesses, your turn now.
Okay, this is a new one. Jose Sims is a wanted crime suspect in Connecticut. Apparently, he wants some love, or more specifically, Facebook likes. Police have been trying to negotiate his surrender, but they say he's agreed to turn himself in if his wanted picture gets 15,000 likes on the department's Facebook page. Apparently, Sims then requested 20,000, but police proposed only 10,000, so they met in the middle.
Interesting bargaining there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look at this wounded police officer getting some love from his canine partner.
Aww.
Auburn, Alabama police officer Webb Sistrunk was wounded while responding to a deadly domestic dispute earlier this week. On Thursday, Sistrunk and his partner Leon were reunited for the first time since that incident. You can see Leon wasted no time in making sure his partner was okay.
Well, this video proves you have to watch who you let hang around your house. A video doorbell in South Africa picked up a nosy baboon trying to break into a home. You see the animal peeking around the roof in front of the camera before going to the other side. Look at him go. Well, when it realizes it can't get into the house, it hops up on the roof and goes about its way. I love those doorbell camera videos that capture this kind of stuff.
That's pretty funny.
Look at him. Oh. Maybe I'll get up there.
He's just trying to get a better view. That looks like a great view
of
the water there. Yeah, I don't blame him.
Well, Todd, people are going to want to be near water this weekend if they can, you know, despite storms, you know, in the forecast.
Yeah, you know, no day's a complete washout here, but there will be some rain chances today. They're very, very small, and they're all during the morning hours. But you're right. With the heat and humidity that'll be around throughout the weekend, a body of water will be a good place to be. Just make sure, obviously, there's no lightning around. Here's the showers this morning, stretching from Terre Haute to Seymour. They're all very, very light. This little band will lift to the north as the warmer air starts to work its way in. We're in the 60s and 70s here this morning. Everybody will climb into the mid to upper 80s later on this afternoon with partly cloudy skies, so do not cancel any plans because of the rain chances. Then this evening, it's Friday night. You may have plans. Temperatures fall back down into the 70s.
All right, Todd, thank you. A woman never moved into an Indianapolis apartment complex, nor did she sign a lease. Ahead at 6 o'clock, why complex officials still wouldn't give her the security deposit back until RTV6 got involved.
Plus, we're breaking down everything you need to know about Carb Day. Stay with us. Good Morning Indiana continues in just 2 minutes.